And welcome into In-Game Chat for Saturday, April 1st, 2023, Season 17, Episode 11. I'm Scott.
And I'm RJ.
And I need to change our Twitch settings. I guess I can do that on the fly while we're still doing this. I messed up. Left it on my Destiny stream description instead of changing it to what we're doing today, which is the show. So I'm going to get that fixed here in just a bit. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. You can check out ingamechat.net for every which way to get in touch with us through Twitter, In-Game Chat, Facebook there as well. Email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. And you can also join us on Twitch. We're streaming right now. It says we're playing Destiny, but we're not. And there's a whole Destiny overlay, which, you know, I'll get rid of here in just a minute, I hope. And you can also join us on Discord, which I need to unmute our Discord there and get us going there. So, all set and ready to go here. Let me do this again before I forget. Been here for quite a while and thought, man, I was proud of myself too because I was really hungry, so I grabbed some sushi on the way over and headed over here. Mm-hmm. And I thought, let me get everything done and then just sit down and enjoy my sushi and I don't have to worry about, I still got to go do, get the show stuff ready and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I was so proud because I did. I got the camera set up. I got everything here. And I was like, oh, that was good, Yeah. Everything's good. Nope. Forgot all about that. So, yeah. Let's see. What does this remind me later on that? Let's see. Stream info. Maybe we can change this. Yeah, I tell you what. RJ, I know you said there weren't going to be a lot that, Yeah. You did, so, but go ahead and tell us what you played. What's going on, that sort of thing.
Well, mostly I've been playing Grand Theft Auto Online because they've done a little something with the bonuses with biker sell missions this week. So basically everything you have to sell is going to build at twice the rate. So it's going to get done a lot quicker. You can sell a lot more product. It's doubled in value. So basically what I've been doing all this week, I've been trying to sell as much cocaine to
I've been trying to sell as much
cocaine as humanly possible.
Oh, man. For those of you who just tuned in, I've been trying to sell so much cocaine.
I have. It's profitable.
In the game, yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I get about $500,000 per sale. And you can do that solo. You just have to sell in a populated lobby, because it gives you a percentage based on how many people are in there with you. Because at any given time, someone could just take your stuff out, blow it all up, and you have nothing. So if you take the risk, higher the risk, the higher the reward. So I took a value of $210,000 to about $500,000. And since it's building quicker,
nice,
I can get about $1 million in about 35-40 minutes. And while I'm waiting for the things to reload, I can go do other stuff like sell the stolen cars that I've got. So that makes more money that I'm trying to build up. So it doesn't take long to get those millions of dollars racking up so you can get up there with the folks who has like 20, 30, $40 million in no time. And then you have folks like The Professional, who's a YouTuber who specializes on Rockstar games, Grand Theft Auto in particular. He has over 1 billion.
Yeah, well, that's all he does.
Grinding. Yeah,
that's all you can do, man.
Well, he plays other games too, but he's been grinding on that. He has multiple hour sessions, but he has partners with him. So going solo, I get $500,000 per sale. But if you go with a team of 4, that's about $2 million per sale. And it, like I said, with the increased rate and the higher value, he can rack up cash in no time in the game. So yeah, so I've been trying to get my fair share before the bonus comes out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We'll get. I thought I turned it off. There we go. Now I turned it off. So making noise. Anyway, Bam Brent says the hum's not very bad today, so that's good. I didn't really plan for that. I just figured that it's just the hum gonna hum.
We keep thinking it's something simple, that it's just a little adjustment or whatever, but it's probably something like a volume knob turned up high somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
And there's so many knobs in this place, folks.
I don't know what it is. We'll just go to the phones. Hey, you're on in-game chat. Who's this?
Hey, it's me. Do I sound better this time?
You do. You sound good.
Well, that's a relief. How y'all been doing today?
Doing all right. Yeah, doing good.
Well, I could have had a better day. As you can say, what I'm about to tell you, just even though I know you're sitting down in the chairs, you need to sit down when you hear this. I was involved in a wreck this afternoon, right after lunchtime, and considering what had happened, I'm okay, perfectly fine and everything, but I never would have imagined I would have an accident where my car rolled over on its side, on the driver's side.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, and both me and the other person in their vehicle.
Wait, what time? What time did this happen?
About 12:30, like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, early afternoon, right after lunch, on the main drag in Prattville.
Wow.
Yeah. Whew. I'm physically fine, but mentally, I don't know if I'm all there yet.
No kidding. You said main drag in Prattville. What is that?
The main street, coming from the interstate, and the main drag, the main.
So is that Cobb's Ford or is that 31?
Yeah, Cobb's Ford. The main road coming from the interstate going into downtown. Coming by where I was going up there to see one of the discount stores, and I'd got a tile saw from them, and they didn't have parts of it were missing. I basically made the rest of it. I made a little tray that holds the material that you're cutting. So I wanted to go show them and that and everything, and unfortunately, T-bone somebody, which I poured out in front of them. Well,
dude,
what happened. It's something you can't take back anyway. But luckily, considering everything that did happen, we're all okay, and I'm perfectly fine. And the paramedics and all said they were surprised that my blood pressure was only slightly elevated, and said it's not higher than what I thought it would. I thought it'd been through the roof, considering what I've been through.
I mean, my God, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. Well, we're just grateful that you're okay, and I guess whoever hit you, you're the one that got hit, right?
Yeah, they're perfectly fine. Yeah, they hit me, but considering all that happened, everybody's fine and everything, and they came and walked away, and no injuries whatsoever. That, as far as I'm aware of, I haven't sustained any injuries except for my mind wrapping through the whole situation.
Yeah, no, it's a grueling thing. You'll probably be sore tomorrow, I would imagine, because usually your muscles tense up and everything.
You got adrenaline flowing right
now.
Survival from society kicks in.
Wow.
And what was so surprising, the first thought was going, oh bleep.
Yeah.
The vehicle. I've just pulled in front of somebody, the vehicle hit me, and before that thought even cleared my mind, it's going over. The car is turning over. It's going on its side. I see the ground coming, and I immediately, this is happening. And
what kind of car do you drive? Is it a?
It's a 2011 Dodge Caliber.
So that's like a sedan type, or
it's a 4-door.
Okay, so it's not a top-heavy vehicle to roll over. It's going to take some effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was also going downhill, and I think that it was a little bit, it was a little bit of slip. It was right there, just past the red light where you pull into the main parking lot on both sides, where the Lowe's is and everything. The main pull-in area at the red light. It was just going down the hill past that where the T-Mobile store is on the right. It was just right in front of there, that little driveway pulling in there in that little shopping area.
Man. Well,
yeah.
We are glad you're okay, dude.
Yeah. You're not the only ones either.
I'm sure. Yeah, God.
And of course, everything's running through my head, and the first thought, I need to call my father and let him know in the first words, don't worry, I'm okay. I've been involved in an accident, and told him where to come and everything, and everything's good and all, and the paramedics that came and helped me out and everything were surprised and glad I was thankful and okay, and all the different things. And immediately my first thought was when it all happened and they were talking to me and all, I need to shut the engine off.
Yeah.
And some of these different things you think of, and it all goes through your mind and everything. And
priorities.
then I was trying to figure out how to get the darn keys out of the ignition and stuff, and we got the most important things out of the vehicle once they pulled it over and got it up on the wrecker and all. But I went back and shook everybody's hands, all the paramedics and stuff that were with the fire department, with the fire truck that showed up to help me and all, and they were thankful I was okay, and I shook each one of their hands and all that, and Dad was relieved, and my immediate supervisor and supervisor at work were relieved as well. So I decided to take off the full week and just take care of one thing or the other, and most likely have them haul the vehicle over the Montgomery Peyton body, and just whatever we find out, just take it one step at a time.
All right, man. God.
Yeah.
Exciting Saturday. Or is this an April Fool's joke?
No, this is no April Fool's joke. This is not a joke.
I forgot what day it was.
And in fact of everything, I took a picture of the darn car in case I felt like I had to pinch myself if I think that this was
right.
great.
Yeah, exactly. This is a story that you tell on this particular day, and I mean, yeah.
And it didn't even dawn on me that today's April 1st, and I've known that since yesterday. But yeah, this is no April Fool's joke, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're glad we're really, really glad you're okay, man, and thank you for keeping us updated on that and thinking about. I mean, even after a wreck, being like, well, I better call the show. So thanks for calling in and letting us know, man.
It's part of a normal Saturday afternoon to
right, exactly. It's your Saturday plan.
Yeah, I gotta sit down and listen to y'all's show and call in and see how y'all are doing. It's just something else to help me get my mind off of everything that happened today as well.
Jeez, God.
But yeah, that moment of all that stuff, it's still, that old saying, the time slows down. It definitely
does.
Like it was slow, and it actually happened.
It totally does. You're right. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
But yeah, I'm back here in the back cave and playing whatever the role-playing game I was playing before the Diablo weekend, the last couple weeks or so. So back here taking it easy and chilling and just taking it easy.
All right, man. Well, continue doing that and get what you got to get done during the week, and we'll talk to you again next Saturday.
All right. Y'all have a good one, and people listening, just be safe, just slow down.
Yeah.
Learn from our lessons and learn from my conversation with the guys here. So y'all be careful out there, and we'll see y'all next time.
See you, dude.
Take care, Dad.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Woo.
A T-bone. I've seen T-bones before.
T-bone with a rollover.
Yeah, with a rollover, yeah.
It's one thing for a T-bone. It's one thing for a driver's side T-bone, and then a rollover. Well, actually, no. Maybe no. He wasn't. He rolled over on driver's side, so he was hit passenger side, then rolled over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still, regardless. God.
No, the one I saw was driver's side was hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wasn't able to just walk away with unscathed.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty bad. So fortunate. And no one had any injuries in there. So goodness, man.
God, Wendy and I were just watching car wrecks last night on YouTube and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What, driver fails?
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Basically. We actually saw a T-bone, but nothing like what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Nothing like that either. God. Anyway, so moving on to what have I been playing? I guess you covered all yours, right? Just GTA. That was
GTA.
It. Just a busy week. Couldn't get anything else in, or anything going on.
I said, trying to maximize as much.
You were just putting as much.
Trying to sell as much product as possible.
That makes sense. That makes sense. For me, it was Destiny, obviously, because you can see that I left the Twitch description as my Destiny stuff. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing, running the raid, doing the things.
I was about to ask you, did you get another raid in?
Yeah, we did it. We did another raid Saturday night. We're going to do another raid this tonight as well. Going to stream that also. We streamed it. I've been streaming the raids this time. Mm-hmm. And then I get up Sunday morning and I play, and I also stream that too, which is where this was left off of, I believe, where I was playing some Iron Banner. So, yeah, I know. Drunk Degenerate says, I came here expecting Iron Banner. What a scam. I don't know. It's probably just as cringy to watch this as it is to watch me play Iron Banner, because it doesn't usually go well. You're in luck though, because apparently Iron Banner comes back next week. That's not usually how it seems to go usually. Usually there's a nice gap between an Iron Banner, but this was like, 1 week and then we're back with Iron Banner. Okay, that's fine. I still got some stuff to do in it, so maybe I can get it done in this.
But nothing involving the gear?
Nah, I'm not doing it for the gear. I'm doing it for the triumphs.
See, that was my biggest problem with Iron Banner, was that it comes back, but there's nothing in it for me, so to speak. No gear worth getting. Doing the matches that get you the pinnacle rewards is what I do it for, so I can hit higher level. That's the reason. That, and I'm doing it for triumphs now. I'm just trying to fill. I'm 60% in my wins, so I need 40% more wins. I don't know how many that is. It all depends on how much gear you're wearing. That's Iron Banner related. It makes that thing move further. But if you lose, it doesn't move at all. Yeah.
So I'm looking for wins. But yeah, that's really all I'll be doing for that next week. But, so yeah, Destiny and, this morning after I got in some Destiny, I, decided to install 2 games that I had, bought previous, but never got around to doing anything with. I don't know why I don't know why I knocked out 2, probably because they're so small. It was Return of the Obra Dinn, which is made by, Lucas Pope, I believe is his name, the guy who did Papers, Please.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, and also, what was the other one? Cloudpunk.
Oh, okay.
Which is another one another one that I was really looking forward to, even tried to get the guys on the show, or the developers anyway, to get them on the show. So yeah, Cloudpunk really, first off, Return of the Obra Dinn, I didn't get involved with. It's a very, or at least it started out with a very lengthy read. Like you have a journal or something like that, and you have to just skim through the entire journal to get out of that sort of menu so that you can exit the game, or at least what I could tell. As soon as the journal came up and it had all this text, I was like, okay, I don't have time to... I'm interested, but I just don't have time if this is what it requires right now. I don't have time for that. I was just going to mess around, poke around, do whatever. And I did a little bit of it, and then I went into the settings. And there were the screen settings. Was like, the first thing that it was set on was Macintosh, and I loved that. You could change it to like a Commodore 64, an IBM something. There was a bunch of different older computers that you could set the screen to. And I loved that because I remembered talking about this game years and years and years ago. I don't know how old the game is. If you look it up, it'll tell you what year it was released, but I don't know how old the game is. But I remembered saying something either on this show or in a forum or something like that I was... One of my earliest gaming memories is playing something on my uncle's Macintosh. Not his Apple, but his Macintosh. Because it wasn't, Anyway, it was an old point-and-click game, and I cannot remember the name of it, because it goes back too far. And, like, you were exploring, like, a castle or something like this, and, if you wanted to move forward, you clicked, and it would change the screen and move forward, and then you click on it was point and click. That's all it ever was. But it had the look of it is what Obra Dinn was reminding me of. And so when I go into the game and I see where you can change the screen settings, and they're not screen settings of, some type of resolution or something, it's Macintosh. And I was like, it's exactly what it's trying to invoke, and it's doing it, and it's working. And there's all these other settings too. Obviously, I'm going to keep it on the Mac, the old green screen Macintosh thing. I'm keeping it there just for the nostalgia's sake. But I really, 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 really enjoyed that.
October of 2018.
It's been out for a while. It's gotten nothing but rave reviews.
It says overwhelmingly positive on recent and all reviews.
Yeah,
basically it's overwhelmingly positive.
It's very, very good. It's very well received. So I'm looking forward to getting into that and dipping into it. Cloudpunk I played a little bit more of. Cloudpunk was good. I mean, Cloudpunk is in this voxel-like Blade Runner world where there is really no ground. You're constantly in the sky. And you're doing a delivery service, and you're picking up packages and taking them somewhere else. I haven't really gotten into the meat and bones of it. I've basically just been doing the tutorial. But I really, really enjoy it. I was always interested in the game, and so far I'm still down for what it's doing. But yeah, I'm early into it. So, but I loved it. You fly around a car, and then you spend, at least so far, and it's very little that I played. Seriously, 20 minutes maybe. You spend some of your time in the car, driving from city to city or to location to location. But most of the time when you need to pick up packages or deliver packages, you are on the ground walking around. And I say on the ground, but you're on these, whatever, they're up in the sky. Think of it as BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
You were never actually on the ground.
Yeah. I was looking at this, I was thinking more of a Fifth Element.
Yeah.
The way driving works in the city in that movie.
Yeah, no. That's same, yeah. It's got Fifth Element, I would say it's got Fifth Element cars with a Blade Runner cityscape type thing. But yeah, it just works. It's really, really well done, and I'm still getting into it, and there's still plenty to uncover and figure out what it actually is going on and play the game. So
there was a couple of titles I did pick up. Well, one I picked up and then one updated in rest mode that happened. R-Type Final updated overnight, and then the whole screen change. It says now it's called R-Type Final 3. I don't know where it came from because I don't recall getting any updates like that. It just updated overnight.
You mean last night into today?
Yeah, it just updated into R-Type Final 3. It still says R-Type Final 2 in the options and things like that, but I don't know how that happened. I mean,
does R-Type Final 3 exist?
It said it was on the PlayStation 5, but I don't know what the differences are. It seems like the same, very same game, but I don't know what those changes are. And then the second thing I picked up was I picked up My Friend Pedro.
Oh, okay.
That was like it was like $5. They dropped the price and I picked it up and installed it, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Looks like it's going to be fun. Like I said, it's going to be like I saw that the demo was basically action stylistic shooting going on. But I'm curious as how the controls are going to work.
Yeah,
because I think it looks like some type of twin stick type of shooting. Because the arms were all over the place, and at weird angles and whatnot. So it's just something I got to figure out when I start playing it.
I was wondering. I'm looking at news now to see if there was anything mentioned about that. Like it's a April Fool's joke where it updated overnight and you get an R-Type 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the second time we mentioned April Fool's Day. I haven't even thought about April Fool's Day at all.
I don't see anything there, although we already have the best and worst April Fool's jokes in gaming for 2023. Let's see. Looks like a Pokemon joke. See, that was just from IGN. I don't trust anything from IGN. What else do we have? No, that one's not it. I'm not seeing anything that's really something that's worth bringing up almost. Except the Razer. A Razer built by the company Razer. Looks like a mouse, but it's got a little shave head on the end of it, and so you just shave whatever. Okay, that's interesting. What else do we have?
Sounds like a collectible item. You see. The only R-Type Final 3 I'm seeing is Evolved.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog. Is it called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog? What is it called? It's a free murder mystery game that is on Steam. And it's called Sonic... What is it? The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is a short mystery game starring characters from the Sonic franchise working together to figure out who killed Sonic the Hedgehog. There was a trailer that was posted. I thought it was an actual real game, though. Yeah, it says launch today on Steam for the perfect price of $0. you can get the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. According to the game's Steam page, which again, I have to emphasize, is real and exists, Sega says the game is set on Amy Rose's birthday. She's holding a murder mystery party on the Mirage Express. Sonic ends up being the first victim. However, something feels a bit off according to the game's description. Is it really an innocent game or is something more sinister afoot? Players will get to interrogate some of their favorite characters as they try to figure out who killed Sonic and why. The game features fully hand-drawn landscapes and character art. The game was not developed by Sonic Team, as noted on the game's Steam page. Don't consider this official canon. That's actually kind of cool. That is really, really cool. Corsair did an April Fool's thing as well for, I don't know what they called it. Yeah, that's the Razor. The Asus air fryer. The tough TurboMax 4090 air fryer. That's kind of funny. Let's see. The Sonic murder thing is there. Razor. Oh, they don't have it in there. Corsair did something. It was neat. It was like it was a bunch of different keys you could put on your keyboard that were fidget keys. Mm-hmm. Like one came with a fidget spinner attached on it, so you could do that. One came with a little flip switch. You could just mess around. It's just stuff to have on your keyboard while you're waiting or while you just want to fidget or something like that. So, yeah.
No, the Corsair's Elite Tactile Distractors.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Isn't a real product, or else I'd never get anything done.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Because you really would. Yes, yeah. It would distract you.
Let's see. Corsair calls the FT100 keycaps Elite Tactile Distractors, which will replace your more useless keys, looking at you, scroll lock, with something more practical like a full-size fidget spinner, a knob, or a dial.
Yeah.
Inside the package are 5 fidget-friendly keycaps, which include a fidget spinner, a small dial, an on-off switch, a trackball, and a very clicky button. So, of course, I wouldn't be a hardware writer worth my salt if I didn't try out these silly keys, jokes or not.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah. You really want to. You really, really do. Hey, we're going to take a break here and come back and talk about the news, because there's plenty of it to talk about. The big news, obviously. We'll tell you what that is when we come back here. Got music from a game called 20 Minutes Till Dawn. I don't know anything about it. Just know it's called 20 Minutes Till Dawn, and track is called Wasteland something. Looks like Combine? Combat. Wasteland Combat. That's what it is. It's cut off. I see COM and then I don't know what. So, but if I remember right, when I did these on Wednesday, Wasteland Combat, 20 Minutes Till Dawn. We'll be right back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. This is a track from a game called Beacon Pines. And the track is called Welcome to Beacon Pines. Playing Snap during the breaks. I have like one challenge left to do. And that is win a match with 40 plus total power. So certain things have to fall in line for me to make that happen, and they've done it for 4 out of the 5 times I need it to, and I just need it to happen one more time. Can't seem to get there though. But I'll keep trying. Anyway, welcome back to the show. There's the other game we're playing, which is Snap, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I guess we start with the big one there, huh? E3?
Yep.
And I say this is... I don't know if it's a thing that people feel bad about. I think it is. Well, see, I think it is. To people who probably don't listen to the show, but still, follow gaming, I guess.
Yeah.
I think a few people would be disappointed about it. It symbolizes something because of the way that it's been all those years. I think for some it feels like, we're not gonna have E3 this year, so it's not. And I don't know if that's I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well,
to those,
what it meant to me was that a long time ago, E3 was not the go-to for the latest in gaming news. It used to be, because it was going to be presented there first and foremost. And a long time ago, that was true. But you saw over the years that wasn't the case. And E3 wasn't as exclusive as it used to be.
Yeah.
And it didn't have as much impact. And it's been getting worse and worse as the years went by. So pretty much, this is just from my perspective, the writing was on the wall. Eventually, this thing's going to stop when the big companies have their own presentations and whatnot that they do.
Yeah.
They have their own things that steps away from E3, separate from E3, completely different from E3. They say their piece and go on without anything to do with E3. So E3 is not the go-to anymore.
Yeah,
and you don't think about it, and it's out of sight, out of mind.
And the thing
it's out of the picture.
The thing that Thar66 says, I love the conferences, though those had awesome moments. And Lethal Migraine says conferences aren't going away. I've said this before, so it's probably well known, but the conferences were not part of E3. They happened to take place at the same time as E3, only because everybody was there. Mm-hmm. And so they did their conferences then. It wasn't a part of it. It wasn't like if I went to E3, I would get invited to the conferences, but not get invited to E3 proper. Because they were separate things that had nothing to do with the ESA or with E3 itself. They were a separate thing that the company did. Companies being Microsoft, Sony, EA, Ubisoft, Nintendo, all of those that they would do. And Lethal is correct; those aren't going away. But I don't know that we're ever going to get, and we might. But I don't know that we're ever going to get back on the live audience presentation type things. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The big crowd, the big thing where there's a whole bunch of people in the room and and it's live on stage, people coming out doing the presentations and stuff. I don't know that we're going to go back to that. I think they will be smaller. I think they will be much more focused on whatever it is that they're showing off, and it'll be digital, of course. It'll be a video presentation thing, something that everybody
come to our channel and see this.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing our thing here, and there won't be an audience to deal with because
probably the only place you're going to see those big audiences things is going to be like award shows.
The video game awards, yeah, exactly. I mean, they may go back to that. They may eventually go back to that in some form or another, in some way or another. I don't know. But if E3 cancels, then there's no reason for people to go out there, which means there's no reason for them to hold the conference there.
Yeah.
So they can do it wherever they want to. It cuts back on so many things. It cuts back on them renting buildings to hold the conference. It cuts back on them renting the security. I say renting the security, but paying for the security, paying for the building, paying for setting up the place and everything else that they would do. It's just, in the long run, it's saving them money. They never did it before, but my God, it must have looked great whenever they didn't have to. Mm-hmm. And they did it themselves, and like, God, we're saving a killing. And we're getting the same.
Still getting our info out.
Yeah, we're still getting our message across. Why they never did it sooner, I have no idea. Nintendo was the first to do it, I believe, to kind of break away from that tradition and say, we're not going to be there. We're just going to show off. We're going to do one of our Nintendo Directs and show it that way. Perfect way to get your message across. You control it. You don't have to worry about audience participation or at least audience reaction if it's a negative.
Nope.
You can just throw it out there. Now, you will have to worry about the internet's reaction, which could be a negative. That's fine. But you're going to have to worry about that regardless.
Yeah.
So
why not?
Yeah. Just keep going with it. But yeah, the signs were written on the wall because Sony and Microsoft had pulled out for this year. Ubisoft said, no, we're still going to do it. And then Ubisoft said, no, we're not going to do it. Then I think Sega dropped and a couple of others. And finally, they canceled it.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I've been saying it needs to go away for a long time. They just need to do what they're doing. And honestly, release your demos. If you've got demos there on the show floor for people to play, release your demos so that people can play them. Steam Fest does that plenty of times. Steam Next Fest or whatever it is, they'll pick a topic and do a festival where you play a ton of demos of different types of games. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have theme fests where it's, the mystery stuff or puzzles or racing or city building or any kind of genre they want to go in. If they've got the inventory there, and then they put the demos out for you to enjoy. And play and talk about and pre-order, and it's a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why if you were building a demo for E3, release your demo.
Yeah.
Don't hold it there at the thing. Let the people play it. If you were gonna let people play it who were gonna be at E3, then let the people play it who are not gonna be at E3.
Yeah. I mean, there's still weight to the selling tactic. Try before you buy.
Yeah.
That's what sells. That's what sells to a lot of folks.
I mean, and we talked about this with demos. You walk the edge on that. Mm-hmm. If it's great, then people are going to talk about it and they look forward to it and they put in their pre-orders. If it's not great, well, that helps you to figure out that, okay, we need to figure out why it's not great. Or, regardless, the damage has been done. It's off somebody's radar. Never to return, even if you make the changes to make it better. Maybe later down the line when word of mouth comes back around to that person, but you run that risk of losing a whole lot of potential.
Did this happen with No Man's Sky?
No, No Man's Sky didn't release a demo that I know
Didn't
of.
have a demo.
I don't know. I don't think it had a demo, no.
But when it did release, it had that fallout from
it did.
The unfinished.
Yeah. It did. It had a lot of
unfinished mess.
It had a lot of problems.
Yeah, unfinished mess.
But I mean, obviously, they are the redemption developer for the fact that they were able to crawl back from that.
Yeah, the recovery.
Which is something I never really thought that they would be able to do. And at the same time, I didn't think that they would be able to release a new game after what had happened and be able to approach it the same way, I guess, or whatever the case may be, to kind of get over that hump. But they did fine. In fact, they did so well that if they did come back and release, which they will, I know, but when they do release their next game, or when they talk about releasing their next game, everybody will be attentive. They'll be like, okay, sure, we're good. They were, for whatever reason, for ever how hard they tried, they were able to win back the trust, I guess, of the crowd in a way, of the customer.
I'm trying to wonder if things would have turned out different had a demo came out with those errors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Would it have been a different different outcome.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. They may not have been. It depends. It all depends on when you decide to release your demo.
Because I'm thinking maybe the comeback wouldn't have been as big.
If you release a demo with enough time that you can work on it, or you release a demo with enough time that you can delay release, sure, you've got that. But usually you aren't ready to release a demo if it's that far back. You know what I'm saying? If you're that far away from release, then where you do have the ability to push it back or to hold off or something like that, you're usually don't have anything demo ready type of thing. Although a lot of people at E3, they stop developing the game and they work on whatever the demo is that's going to be on the show floor, or that's going to be presented in front of that audience on stage. You know, they work on that little vertical slice of the game and say, here, go play this. Now, can we get back to work to work on this game instead of your little presentation? So I don't know. Obviously, I don't work in game development, and I don't work in game marketing either. So to know if these are the reasons that demos go the way that they go or not, I don't know. That leads me to the next point of early access games.
Yeah, because what you described to me sounds like something you do for a AAA title. Don't waste any resources on demos. Just get a good product.
Oh, they've
together.
done that. It's all the studios have done that. Whenever it comes to those public showings type of things, they've got to make sure that whatever is about to be shown to the public is polished as, just smooth as silk.
Polished but not playable.
No, playable too.
Like what? Which one?
Like Last of Us would be a great one.
Okay.
Last of Us was it part 2 or was it part 1? I think it was Last of Us 1.
Okay.
When the guy got up on stage, Bruce Straley was his name, one of the developers of the game, one of the directors of the game actually. He got up on stage and he played whatever that level was that they had given him. But that was because they had put all their resources in making sure that section that he was going to play was not buggy, was not problematic, was going to be played the way it should be played. You know what I'm saying? That's when you've got somebody playing it. When you don't have somebody playing it, or you're doing a video presentation, then, you're still working on that level, but somebody else plays through it, and they play through it until you get it right the way you want it shown. So there's a couple of ways, but they put a lot of effort into whatever's going to be demoed and shown off to the public. They put a lot of effort into it because they don't want anything breaking while it's doing that. Otherwise, word gets out of, I was playing it, but it was really buggy. It was really bad, and that I guess hurts sales or whatever. So, yeah, Last of Us on PC is not doing too great. Last of Us Part 1 on PC, and it is a mess. They are working on it though. They already released a patch this week for it to fix some things, and they're going to continue. It's a very high profile game. A lot of eyes were on that game, the PC release of it, especially so soon after the series ended that
attention is high. So
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of eyes on that. Like, oh wow, this is coming out on PC. I've never played it. I can play it now, or the remaster, I guess, whatever it is. But yeah, that didn't work out that way. So, but they are very aware of it, and they are pushing out updates as fast as they can for it. So, but yeah, it was a mess. It was a nasty mess. So yeah, the E3 is no more. It is done, and for this year, it is done. Will they be back next year? That remains to be seen.
Gut feeling, yes or no?
No.
Unless
they make some sort of massive change to it and arrange it differently. What that change should be, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I can't tell you what it would be to bring them back or to do that. I am not sure. Given that it was going to go on, so pandemic happened, right? E3 was canceled because of the pandemic. Everything was canceled because of the pandemic. Not too bad. Second year rolls around. We're not going to do E3 again just because it's not enough time, and these companies are still not a little iffy on it.
Yeah.
2022 rolls around, and I think they did E3, or did they not? I can't remember if they actually had show floor presence or not. I want to say that they did. But it was obviously not the draw that some of these companies wanted, and so even more pulled out for the next year, this year. And so they didn't do it. And again, I just don't think it'll come back for next year, only for the fact that these companies that the companies that were going to attend now don't have to attend, and they don't have to put the money into it, and they don't have to put the development cost into whatever they're going to show off. Yes, it means less people are going to play your game or hear about your game because you're not getting in front of press. But that doesn't stop you. If you've built a demo that the press were going to play, send it to the press. Send it to the people that were going to play your game. If you were planning on the public doing it, put it out there somehow to get it to the public. If not, shoot it over to some people who can play it and talk about your game. Shoot it to us. I don't care. Yeah, so you can still get it out there, and it doesn't cost you anything extra to do it. It doesn't cost you rent space or whatever. I'm still curious what rent was for E3. I know what the ESA was paying massive bucks to get the LA Convention Center, but what did they charge for space rental within the convention center once they had it? Like, what did they charge people to rent? Booth
rentals.
Yeah.
Well. I'm
curious what that price was. I really hate you. I'm talking about the air conditioner. It makes this loud, like, noise. There it goes. Now it's off. Yeah. What?
Let's see. 13 to 16 grand.
Right. I mean, it's going to vary because the space that they had available, there were different size spaces and stuff, especially in some of the main shows. So there were the two big show floors. There was the West Wing and the South Wing or something like that. Then there was like Independent Alley, which was like a bunch of these little small corridors in the thing where you could where there were these tiny spaces set up in these conference rooms where you could go, and most of those were done, by the independents and stuff like that. Let's see.
They're bigger numbers in older articles. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm sure.
10 years ago, they said it was 80 to 250 grand. Booth designers, museum exhibit companies before they went with a local prop maker instead. I mean, let's just say it's a lot of money to go to E3.
Yeah, I'm reading an article here from Kotaku that says a lot of people have a lot of feelings, a weird thing for regular folks to have since this was an industry trade show. One thing we should be remembering, though, through all the tributes and dunks, is that E3 didn't mismanage its way into oblivion. Its demise is exactly what the world's biggest video game companies wanted. Yes, it had its problems that were its own doing, regardless of who was organizing the show. Downtown LA sucks. Yes, it does. The show's industry-only focus gave it a sheen that was always a little too uncomfortable to be around. It could never reconcile whether it wanted to be a trade show for developers and retailers or an announcement fest for the world's media. What started killing the show wasn't any of those things. Those things were inconveniences for those attending, which those of you reading or watching from home could not have given half about. E3 started dying when major companies like Nintendo and Sony began reducing their presence there, yes, or pulling out entirely, and that had nothing to do with the limited dining options available around the Los Angeles Convention Center. It's bleak. Those companies, huh?
Seriously?
Yeah. It really is.
L.A.
Downtown L.A., yes. Downtown on Figueroa and everything else, the dining places wasn't that great.
Goodness.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
Surprising to me, I would think a major city like LA, in the downtown area where folks would congregate, would have choices like that.
The times that I was there wasn't. Now I don't know if it's changed since then. We're looking at almost 10 years since I've been, getting closer to 10 years since I've been, probably around 8. Yeah, but 7 or 8 since I've been.
Yeah, the thing I'm saying, the common thing downtown, people congregate here during the day. I mean, give them options. Downtown
LA was mostly a nightlife type of thing, not necessarily a dining nightlife type of thing, but like clubs and bars and stuff. Not necessarily fine dining restaurants or anything like that. So yeah, at least while I was there.
I would think options though, really.
Yeah, I mean there were, but it was like your choice of like Applebee's or California Pete's Kitchen and a couple other things. But nothing that was really unique, top-notch, whatever you want to call it.
Nothing that stood out.
Right. Nothing you couldn't get at home.
Yeah.
So, which is fine for us that were going there. We didn't care.
When I went to Vegas. I was like, I didn't come to Vegas to eat at Subway.
I know, right?
All right.
That's exactly.
Come on now.
Those companies, from platform holders to major publishers, the real stars of the E3 experience, weren't really presenters at a trade show. They were gladiators. At its peak, whenever you think that that was across its various locations of decades, E3 ran for just a handful of days. But in that time, hundreds of major announcements would be made, from new hardware to AAA reveals, and each of them would be vying for the public's attention. If there was one thing that defined E3 beyond press conferences, it would be that every event, every show, has its own list of winners and losers. The winners could bask in the glory and leverage for increased exposure and sales, while the losers might risk sinking into oblivion, which is what E3 has done. It's no surprise that major companies bailing on the E3 killed it off. What's surprising is that it didn't happen a lot sooner. This is exactly what I said. Like we've said before, there's nothing major video game companies like more than being able to control the entire process of making a sale. From announcement to pre-order, everything standing in the way of those sales is an obstacle to overcome. So if E3 was presenting the risk of their games being overshadowed by their competitors, then of course they were going to walk away. And when enough companies walked away, the show was never going to survive. So, I mean, it really started then, and it should have started, like we said, it should have gone sooner than that. Mm-hmm. Especially given the success that Nintendo had by doing it on their own. Other companies should have looked at that and said, we should give it a shot. But it was a hard thing to do, I'm sure. It was probably very hard to convince decision makers who made those kind of decisions that, look, Nintendo did this and they're doing fine. But I'm sure those companies said, yeah, but that's Nintendo. Nintendo, unlike, well, Sony not so much maybe, but Sony and Microsoft, look, Sony is a very Japanese company. It is. The gaming part of it is also, I don't know where it skews more, if it's more Japan or more U.S. At one time, it was more Japan, but it seems now it's more U.S. focused.
I think the changes when they moved their stuff to California, didn't it?
It may be. Like when they had, was it Kaz Hirai and, oh God, there was another dude too, and I'm completely forgetting his name too, but also Japanese as well. Mm-hmm. Those guys, they kind of took a back seat, and then some of these other guys came in. Jim Ryan was another name, and oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and I had a picture taken with him as well. But anyway. More American side of things were being presented to the public more than the Japan side of things. But anyway, trying to get the decision makers to say, hey, let's save money and not do this E3 thing, when the decision makers say, no, E3 is big for us. It gets us in front of so many people. It does all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, but Nintendo did this too. Yeah, but Nintendo's Japanese. We don't worry about that. Nintendo's, they're fine. None of them ever thought they were competing with Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Most of them still don't. Microsoft, Sony, they don't feel like they're competing with Nintendo. They're competing with each other. Microsoft and Sony. So I can imagine it was hard, even if they were trying to, they may not even have tried to convince them. But I imagine it was hard to make that decision early on to see that Nintendo is doing this. Maybe we should try this. No, let's just keep going. And it took something like the pandemic. If the pandemic had not happened, if COVID-19 had never happened, which honestly, I think there'll be movies and books made, if they haven't already, to show that alternate timeline of life where it never happened, to see how things would be different. Mm-hmm. If that had never happened, E3 would still be alive and kicking. I fully believe that. I truly, truly do. But it took something like that to say, well, E3 is not going to happen, and nobody's going to come to our stuff, so how do we get our message out there? And then,
it forced the issue to make you make a decision.
Dude in the back finally gets to stand up and say, so I've been telling you to do this for years now, why don't we do it? And they finally did.
Now they forced their hand. Yeah, you got to do it now.
And then it's like, oh, this is not bad. This works. And look how much money we've saved. So much money.
Yeah, Lethal put in the chat room, Shuhei Yoshida.
No, he's still with Sony. It was another dude back in the Kaz Hirai days, back in the PlayStation 3 days. And I'm trying to remember what his name was, and I'm completely forgetting it. Yeah. I'm completely forgetting what his name was. But anyway, that's okay. We got to go. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will keep going over the news here and, just jumping into whatever we got. I got music here from a game on the SNES, and I believe it came up on the PC at some point. I was looking for something else, but this came up on one of those little side things. Like when you're looking for videos on YouTube, you type in one thing, and as you start scrolling down, stuff that has no relation to anything you type starts popping up.
Yep.
Ken Kutaragi, that is who I'm thinking of. Ken Kutaragi. Thank you, Lethal Migraine, for helping me out with that. So anyway, Sim Ant came up. The ant simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, here's music from Sim Ant. We'll be right back. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music here from a game called Devour. It's the main menu music. It's a horror game. Should be nice to use whenever October rolls around. Are we 6 months away from October right now? We halfway there to October, I believe. Yeah, another 6 months to get to all our scary music month. I'm reading in more about this E3 thing. This comes from PC Gamer website. But it's referencing an interview that the GameIndustry.biz ran where they talked... they talked to somebody, was it Christopher Dring? According to Christopher, all but one major game company had been enthusiastic about participating in E3 2023 at the start. And quoting him, companies were talking about taking up huge spaces. The E3 team was looking at how we could expand into the car park and use the extra areas that hadn't been used for years. Reed Pop, who is the company that organizes E3, and they do New York City Comic-Con, PAX as well, said as recently as February that the event was full steam ahead. But even with E3 2023 just a few months away, contracts hadn't been signed, and the mood changed. Quoting, mood changed, by the way. Mm-hmm. According to Christopher Dring, some of the reasons companies like Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo gave for pulling out were our games aren't ready, likely. Mm-hmm. We don't have code, also likely. We can't be seen to be extravagant in this economy. Interesting. The other excuse was the timing isn't quite right. This article goes on to say that all are classic evergreen excuses, but the one about extravagance has a topical bent. I could see Microsoft fretting over the optics of going all out at E3 the same year it laid off 10,000 employees. There will still be big gaming events this June. Jeff Keighley, who was, dude is running with the ball, man. His Summer Game Fest will be one, and you can expect major publishers to put their own announcements on their own live stream announcements. Mm-hmm. There'll be Ubisoft and Xbox events. There'll be the PC Gaming Show, as usual, the Future Game Show, that sort of thing. Dring said that ReedPop, which also organizes the other events that I mentioned, moved a bit slower than anyone would have liked and might have needed a different communication strategy, but that the problem wasn't just that E3 failed to change. The pitch, I felt anyway, was good, said Dring. It had the business and consumer components separate, or at least as separate as was possible in that venue. It was more affordable. They were going to sort the Wi-Fi. Okay, because that'll bring them in. Your Wi-Fi works. Improve the food. There we're back to the food again. Mm-hmm. Add a stronger digital component. It was everything everyone said they wanted, but in the end, it turns out they didn't want that either. No, man, you're speaking for the company, and I get it. So, you're gonna say that stuff. You're totally gonna say that stuff. It is not gonna be your fault. And I don't know that it's their fault anyway. I don't think any of this was really E3's fault. I just think there were better ways of getting the message out than it was through that. Yeah. There's probably a phrase for it, but look, as time goes on, things change. You used to name your company AAA Towing or something. Why? Because it shows up first in the phone book. The more A's or numbers or whatever shows up first in the phone book when you're looking for that stuff.
Yep.
That doesn't work anymore. I don't get a phone book anymore. So same applies for E3. Mm-hmm. There was a time that you needed that. The game companies needed something like E3 to get that message out. There was a time when that existed and that was needed. It isn't anymore. There's other ways to do it. There's cheaper ways to do it. Mm-hmm. And for companies, that's always going to be a big draw.
Yeah. Because that's what they're all about.
So
cost and profit.
This article goes on to say, hard to argue with that last statement. E3 2023 would still be happening if the industry's biggest companies had stayed committed. Although ReedPop was organizing E3 this year, the event is still owned by the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, whose member companies are some of the very same that ditched the show. And this isn't the first time E3 has dealt with exits. Adjacent to, but not actually E3 shows were a thing well before this year. Yeah, we used to have those all the time. Let's see. People think there's no coming back from this, and at a glance, a lot of people seem to share the view that E3 is dead for good. Christopher Dring isn't sure if we'll ever see the 3 E's rise again, reiterating that it's the industry show and the industry has to want it back if it's going to happen. Maybe in a year that there's console hardware to announce. No. Again, the message can be delivered without being at your silly show. The message can be delivered to many people without having to be at your show. And the more time advances, the more tech advances, the more all of this stuff, the more we get into the future of things, I guess, mm-hmm. the less something like that is needed. So, yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting, the article there. So... that was most of what I had, was that there's a lot of E3 cancellations, but there's more than that. We going back earlier in the chat room there, Drunk Degenerates, Josh had mentioned that he had played Diablo 4, the beta, the amount of people in the 2 weekends that they had the beta, the closed beta and the open beta, or at least the exclusive beta and then the open beta.
Right.
Players collectively spent over 7,000 years playing them. Diablo is not dead at all.
No.
That is, ooh. And it's going to be massive, I think, when that thing goes goes live, I think it will. Do I think all those people are going to be spending money on the game? Probably not. There were people who wanted to play it and are like, yeah, I'll pick it up when it's on sale, or I'll pick it up later, or something like that. But, I mean, it's going to do well. Mm-hmm. It's going to do well. I still didn't play it. Didn't take a look at it. I still was not going to download Battle.net and put it back on my PC.
Yeah.
Not that I don't have a problem with it, but I only needed it for one game. And again, I'm not going to put it back on there for one game again, or at least a beta. I'll put it back on if I actually decide to pick up the game. Mm-hmm. If it's still needed, I don't even know if it's still needed. Is it? People who played the beta, you still need Battle.net? Lethal Migrant says, I got to level 20 on Monday. They turned off the servers as I finished a dungeon. I couldn't get out. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Speaking of business and money and all this other stuff, PlayStation VR 2 is looking at disappointing sales. Well, yeah. If you go back to the excuse that some of the companies were given, like, hey, you know what? I don't want to look as like extravagant in this kind of an economy. Let's release something that only works with our video game system that costs $500. But let's release it for a price of $500.
Isn't this like Connect all over again?
No.
No?
No, the VR thing? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's like Connect was. I liked some aspects of Connect. I didn't mind it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm glad. I'm actually glad it didn't move forward to become kind of the norm. Mm-hmm. But what the hell are you doing? You hear that, right?
Yeah. Is it that?
Oh, I think it is.
So that's the source of the hum?
No. Okay. That's just a source of a very annoying noise in the studio. Mm-hmm. No, PSVR 2, I wouldn't say is a lot like Kinect. Kinect was something that Microsoft made you feel like had to be a part of the system. Mm-hmm. Like, well, Kinect's got to be this. And then it was like, well, we can't sell this without a Kinect. And turns out they could. Mm-hmm. Turns out they could do a lot of things without Kinect because it went away. Mm-hmm. PSVR 2 is just another step in the VR chain of things. It's good VR. It really is. From all the reviews and everything else, it's good VR, which is probably why it costs $550 some odd bucks or whatever it is. It's $500, upwards of $500. But it doesn't work by itself. It has to be plugged into a PlayStation 5, which is $500.
Yeah, after tax.
So, I mean, just to get into this, you haven't even bought games yet. Just to get into this, it's $1,000. So, I don't know. That's
little steep.
Yeah, a bit. That's asking a lot in this economy, as they were just saying. I think, anyway. That's me. Got a phone call. Hey, you're on In-Game Chat. Who's this?
It's Chris again.
Oh, you're going to tell me about Battle.net, aren't you?
I believe you do have to have it. I think I remember years ago when I started playing Diablo 3 on Battle.net, I linked my Facebook, my profile on PlayStation with it and everything. I think it's all tied together, but I believe you do.
Yeah, I figured you have to have. I figured you have to have that. I mean, it's Activision. You're going to have Battle.net.
I mean, yeah, first time anybody's played any Diablo game on a console, if they're planning on getting on whatever console or computer, it definitely has to have Battle.net. But I've been playing those since 3, and then I got the remaster of 2 on when they did it on console, the remake of 2, and I played the beta of 4 and all. But yeah, anybody that's ever played it and is a fan of the series, it's a day one buy. But like you, that other people that have heard about it that may not be interested, they may or may not. But definitely the old fans that have played it since day one or even played any of the other ones and halfway liked it are going, it's going to be a day one for sure because I'm having withdrawal anxiety from not being able to play it since last weekend.
Well, you don't have to wait too much longer. What, 2 months?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but I have to find something else to do in the meantime. But even
like you don't have anything else you could do in the meantime.
That's a long-winded joke, but yeah, even my buddy Tim, that's the manager at the game store in Prattville, the retro game playing, I've got him interested in it, and he's kind of frowned upon it. It's going to be online only, and that you have to have the PlayStation Plus to play on consoles and everything. Which I said, dude, don't worry about it. It's worth it. Trust me. I told him I'm having anxiety withdrawals from not being able to play. The addiction withdrawals and stuff like I was, smoking or something. Hadn't had a cigarette in 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It did get to me and all, but I think about it, and look at the different videos that popped up with news and information. I just can't resist, finding out anything else about it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. But he was kind of reserved, and he's still going to jump into it, and he's going to buy it day one. And even though that it's a couple of things are going to kind of throw him off, that he don't like it since it's going to be online only, and you can't do single player on it and stuff. But I told him, the little fun that I did, and shoot, I didn't do none of the main storyline. I just explored around the town and just went exploring and just did this and that, and maxed out my level pretty quickly. And I was still having a blast just running around killing stuff.
No, and that's great. I mean, It's going to be. We've got a lot of people in our clan on for Destiny who are interested in it, and we'll probably see some drop off from people playing to go over to Diablo, which is perfectly fine.
I think it's going to have a similar structure like Destiny and stuff. There is going to be a long lasting community where they're going to keep adding to it. And
they will. Yeah. No, it's a big deal. It's a big drawn out thing. It's huge. I don't think it's going to hurt Destiny, but I think you're going to see. I think I'll see it from members of my clan who are going to go off and put more time in that than they would in Destiny. Although I'm trying to think. We get our new season sometime mid-May, late May, something like that. But they can easily rush through that and then play through Diablo or play as much Diablo as they want to and move on from that.
The other thing we remember hearing about and all on console is going to be couch co-op where you can play with multiple people on couch.
No, that's a great thing.
And they had some other features like if you're running a dungeon raid with somebody or for friends or something, and there's a specific type of item like a legendary. It's basically like shiny. Must have collectible. It's well sought after. It's pretty high range item. And, for those legendary items, if it happened to drop one from an enemy that your friend killed, but it dropped it on your side and you didn't know about it or missed it, it's going to automatically mail it to your inbox, to your to your character stash and everything, where you can go in there and say, you missed this, here it is, and it'll send it to you automatically. And people have been booted off when a legendary dropped and it shipped it to their mailbox. But supposedly, it's going to limit it to 10 items. So basically, you get done with a dungeon run or something, and every few moments you need to go in there and check everything and clear it out so that it won't overfill. Because I think they said it's going to be only limited to 10 items. After that, it'll probably start rotating if there's something dropped and it ships it to you. But yeah, it was a blast. And anybody that loves those type of role-playing games that have played some of the ones or had an interest in watching people play it, it's going to be a day one for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for letting us know and calling back, man.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, PSVR is expensive. Yeah. Which is, just to get back on that, PSVR is really expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's not doing too well. Will they drop the price of it? No, because that'll lose them money. But will they? That's the problem, though. If not a lot of people are latching onto that thing, then not a lot of companies are going to be making games for it.
Right.
Which is also going to kill sales because it's only going to have so many games available for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you will see a drop in price, but only much later when Sony has decided, we're going to move forward for this. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll let it die that easily. I think they'll keep developing for it because they'll find something that'll hook some people into it, or at least enough to get it down, or enough time will pass where they can make them where they don't lose as much money selling them. But it'll be a loss.
It's going to be a loss.
It is. It is.
I guess anything VR at this point pulling enough people in at this point. I mean, It's been done already.
That's why the Quest was such a great, just a bargain deal, man. $250.
Yeah.
And you can have VR wherever you want it. You don't even have to be you don't have to be connected to a device. Like, you don't have to be connected to a console or a PC.
How about the trip hazard factor?
No. Well, I mean, other than maybe stuff laying on your floor, but...
No, because when you let me borrow your VR system one time, and
that was the PlayStation VR system. Yeah,
it was a trip hazard waiting to happen.
The Quest doesn't have that. The Quest has no wires.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's an all-in-one thing. That's the best way to go about. I mean, if you're going to do VR, look at what they did and do it that way.
Yeah.
But again, if Sony were to do that, make a standalone VR system, but make it as good as what the PSVR can do, PSVR 2 can do, then it's going to have to be a beefy thing to put out those kind of visuals, to make it work like it needs to work. The price of it won't change. In fact, the price of it might go up because the PSVR 2 needs the PS5 to do most of what it does. So, yeah. But until they solve the motion sickness problem, VR will always amount to nothing. I mean, that's going to be... I don't know if they can solve that. Some people are going to get motion sickness regardless of how it works, just because of the way it feels.
Yeah.
Like, I get a little bit of motion sickness whenever it puts me in certain areas where I feel, like I get disoriented, which it's actually kind of a cool feeling. I don't mind that too much. But, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of reasons. VR will never be
dead.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't think it'll ever die. I think it'll constantly improve. And things like the MetaQuest and everything else, I think are going to...
I'm not saying it's dead. It's never going to die.
Like, I don't think you're right. I don't think it's going to die because I think there are companies like MetaQuest, like I said, are going to continue to push that thing as forward as they can and make it affordable as they can, I hope.
I'm about to say, you got to make it affordable, though.
Yeah.
You have to make it affordable.
Well, if you go back to some of our old shows, especially when VR was kicking off, and we talked about... this thing will be good whenever they can, and my biggest thing was whenever they can remove the wires.
Yeah.
This will be
barring your system solidified that for me.
This will be a really good thing whenever they can get rid of all the wires.
Get the wires out the way.
So, and they did get rid of the wires. Amazingly enough, I was completely impressed whenever I picked that up. Last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, I picked it up and was just in love with it. I still love it. I just don't ever take the time to put the thing on and play anything. But I still love it, and I've still got plenty of games to play, plenty of things that I can jump back into whenever I feel like it, and go to town with my room puzzle game that I can play, or some of my other puzzle games that I play, and. What was it? There's a drum game, and there's some good stuff. There's some great stuff on that Quest. Doesn't need to look fantastic, but it just needs to get that VR aspect across, and a lot of the games do. So, oh God, we've talked way too much about absolutely nothing. I'm looking over the rest of our news because we're only going to have about 30 minutes here. When we come back.
Yeah, but the bulk is the big news.
Yeah. That multiverses thing is kind of a big deal, I thought, but I'll read through that. And then was it the BAFTAs? Yeah, the BAFTA Game Awards. Man, you probably already heard, but we'll go over the winners on that thing.
Got some snubs in there.
Best game overall was amazing, but yeah, we'll tell you about it. Coming up after the break. This is a game called Golf Gang. Not really heard of it, but Golf Gang. It's called Haunted Hollows is the name of the track. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chats. This was the other song that came up when I found Sim Ant this way, and then I found this from Tiny Toon Adventures on the NES. And I thought, I haven't heard that in forever. I remember playing it too. So anyway, there you go. That's what you got. Stage 1 theme, which is basically just the theme of the show. So yeah, going over to the BAFTAs. These are a lot of people covet these awards more than they do the other the actual video game awards.
The one that matters.
Yeah, right. Because it's a pretty big deal whenever the
BAFTA, the DICE, the game awards is just
yeah. The game awards are pretty high profile, but BAFTA's that is pretty high.
Yeah, high profile, but there are ones higher than that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's British, so there's some sort of classiness given to it, I suppose. I don't know. It holds more weight usually.
Yeah, but it's more than the Game Awards with an accent, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, the best game overall, I don't know who it beat out. I don't have a list of nominees. But the best game ended up being Vampire Survivors. How? I mean, I don't disagree with it. It's a fantastic game, and it's amazing with what I mean. The guy used to work on casino machines. He knows how to get that loop for people, and figured it out. And just I don't know. It was like a $3 game I bought. When it was in one of the only times I ever did early access. So,
well, I guess some of the best games didn't have to be as polished or have as much resources as a AAA title.
Yeah,
I mean, think about the old classics from the '80s that you still play to this day because it still provides fun and excitement and entertainment for you.
It beat out Vampire Survivors beat out Cult of the Lamb, Stray, and Elden Ring for best game. Best animation was God of War Ragnarok. Best artistic achievement was Tunic. Best audio achievement, God of War. Best British game, Roller Dome. Best debut game was Tunic. Best evolving game was Final Fantasy XIV Online. Best family game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Best game beyond entertainment, Endling, Extinction is Forever. That's what that one won. Game design, Vampire Survivors. Multiplayer, Elden Ring. Music, God of War Ragnarok. I'd agree with that. Narrative, a game called Immortality. Original property, Elden Ring. Performer in a leading role, Christopher Judge for God of War. Performer in a supporting role was Leia DeLeon Hayes, also God of War. Technical achievement was Horizon Forbidden West, and whatever the EE Game of the Year is, was God of War Ragnarok on that one. So, yeah. So good job. It's fantastic. Great job. That guy, God, he's going places. I don't know. I'd like to see what he's going to do next. Really curious as to what he does next. I mean, look at what Lucas Pope did. He did Papers, Please first, then he did Return to Obra Dinn, both fantastic games. So this guy does Vampire Survivors. We'll see whatever he does next. I don't know. But Vampire Survivors is a lot of fun. So, what else do we have? Yeah, Multiversus is going offline. This is weird. I thought the game released, but apparently it was still in some sort of beta thing. The developer announced Monday it's pausing updates and taking the game offline for a relaunch of Multiversus, which is targeted for early next year, early 2024. The co-founder and CEO of Player First Games announced the temporary closure of Multiversus and an update on the game's website. It's the first official update that Player First has provided since November, when the developer brought Marvin the Martian and Season 2 content to the game. So yeah, this game was already released. Since then, the game's remaining players have remained largely in the dark about the fate of Multiversus and have been desperate for new content. They said, "We know there's still a lot of work to do. As a result, we have a clearer view of what we need to focus on, specifically the content cadence of new characters, maps, and modes to give you more ways to enjoy the game, along with updated netcode and more matchmaking improvements. We'll also be reworking the progression system based on your feedback and looking at new ways for you to connect with your friends in the game. To do this the right way, we'll be closing the Multiversus Open Beta on June 25th, 2023. Why are you releasing seasonal content for an open beta? That makes me think you're releasing a season 1 and a season 2.
Profit.
Makes me feel like your game's already released, man. What are you talking about? Why is it open beta? And you're releasing seasons. Diablo had an open beta, but that was for a weekend. Anyway, as part of this process, we'll be pausing updates and taking the game offline as we prepare for the launch of Multiversus, which we are targeting for early 2024. During that June to early 2024 window, Multiversus players will only have access to the game's offline modes, the training room, and local matches. Rest assured, Multiversus will be back, said the developer. We'll also ensure that all of your progress and content will carry over when it returns next year with a variety of new content, features, and modes. That's interesting. All progress and previously earned or purchased content will carry over when it returns. This announcement, though, does not change any current refund policies. So if you wanted your money back because the game's going to be offline for a year, you're not getting it. Some of the comments. You know, if there were any other company that owned this, I'd humor the optimism I've seen about this actually coming back. But we're talking about Warner Brothers Discovery here, and they love axing successful stuff because it takes more time and effort than everything else. So yeah, the game is a goner. Interesting. Really, really interesting about that. I don't know. I'm glad I didn't jump in on it. I thought it was cool, but it's not my type of game. You know, it's a fighting game. It ain't my thing. I liked that aspect. I feel like Warner Brothers could do something like that because their character base is massive from what they've got to work with. So I think it could go a long way. It kind of reminds me of this Snap thing. These guys have a massive roster to make cards with, and they continue to make new cards and release new cards. There's a ton of cards already in the game, and they keep coming out with more and more and more and more and more, because that well is a long way from running dry. The Marvel Comics character well. Same with Warner Brothers. The Warner Brothers character well is deep. Deep. You know, we already talked about, you think about it, they got their Matrix movies, they got just any kind of their movies. They could put any of their characters in there if they wanted to. So, yeah, it's not bad. Except now it's going offline for restructuring. I think we did a story not too long ago that the player base for that game had just dwindled.
Yeah, it dwindled.
It really dropped.
It dwindled quick. Yeah.
Just a neat little side fact here from PC Gamer. It took the original Resident Evil 4 a year to hit 3 million sales. The remake did it in 2 days. You haven't picked that up yet, have you?
No.
Okay. You're going to, though, right? Or eventually?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Not big on the remake thing, right? Or just not big on the 4 remake?
I mean, it's just not...
I think we talked about that. The 4 is not the...
It's not a bad game. It's just not pulling me, I guess. I guess it had more of an impact on folks than it did me. It's a fun game, but I guess it didn't have the... It was okay. I mean, just didn't have the rave reviews that everyone else was having about it.
Yeah.
I still think it was just the impact for it was the tank controls were taken out for 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the impact that everyone had about it. I mean, I was fine with the tank controls. I was fine with the over-the-shoulder controls. I mean, I was fine either way, so.
I was looking at this article here from, again, going back to, whoops, that's not what I want to do. Going back to Kotaku here, just to dip into the Sony, Microsoft, Activision thing.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier this week, Bobby Kotick sent out an email to his entire company, and then he posted it on the internet. Which says a little bit, bang his head against the wall, repeating the same arguments Microsoft, Activision have been making. He posted an email saying that the deal is fine, everything is cool, and Microsoft has made thoughtful, generous remedies to address regulators' concerns. One thing, however, stands out in this email, and it's a section where Bobby has to juggle maintaining a business relationship with Sony while also wanting to throw them under the bus. Here's his words. This is all what the head of Activision and Blizzard said. The good news is, regulators who initially had concerns about console competition are starting to better understand our industry. The data and evidence Microsoft has been presenting are tilting the scale. You may have seen statements from Sony, including an argument that if this deal goes through, Microsoft could release deliberately buggy versions of our games on PlayStation. We all know our passionate players would be the first to hold Microsoft accountable for keeping its promises of content and quality parity. And all of us who work so hard to deliver the best games in our industry care too deeply about our players to ever launch subpar versions of our games. Sony has even admitted that they aren't actually concerned about a Call of Duty agreement. They would just like to prevent our merger from happening. This is obviously disappointing behavior from a partner for almost 30 years. But we will not allow Sony's behavior to affect our long-term relationship. PlayStation players know we will continue to deliver the best games possible on Sony platforms as we have since the launch of PlayStation. In other words, it's not me, it's you. The article says, I don't see any other way he could have put this, to be honest, but then this kind of tiptoeing is exactly why this proposed deal has been so important to the future of the console business. So many grenades have been lobbed by both sides that there's going to be bad blood here for years, regardless of the decision. Not that I really care, exactly about what Bobby Kotick says, because I hate that guy. Hate's a strong word, but I hate that guy. I really, really do. And I'll be glad when he's away from gaming. I know he's going to be taking a massive amount of money with him when he goes, just to get out, just to leave. Like,
we'll pay you to leave.
Yes.
That's how it works.
So, and that's fine. If that gets him away, fine. Here, take all the money you want. Go away. Just go away. And I hope he doesn't show back up again. I hope he doesn't end up moving to some other company or
you might be hoping for too much.
I know. I would love to think that, his past and everything that's going on with Activision and what happened there might prevent another company from saying, sure, we'll take you. It won't. I would like to think it would.
You know better.
Lethal Migraine says Sony has been on the wrong side of this argument the whole time. I mean, I really think so. Not that they were ever going to come out and say, yes, we approve of this. They never were.
No.
So they were going to do, I don't, like you've said before.
It's pure competition.
I don't blame them. I don't hold them accountable for it. I mean, you're going to do whatever you're going to do to keep this from happening.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. It's well within your right to do it.
Yeah, but it looks like it's happening.
I know. I don't see how you're going to stop it.
But we don't have a legitimate.
They don't.
Reason
That's
to,
the thing.
do it, yeah.
They keep throwing that out there of like, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and Microsoft keeps saying no, it's not, and they have some proof to back it up in some cases. But I mean, I totally get the reservations of like, is that really going to happen or whatever? Because man, There's no deal that's been signed. There's nothing that's been said. It's only been words from what I understand. Yeah. It's only been words said that we're not going to do this. Everything's going to be fine. It's not what you think it's going to be. But I don't see any of those words being written down as far as like signed contract, whatever, contractual obligation type stuff. Because if they don't have to do that, then they're not going to do it. You know, if they don't have to put that stuff in writing to honor it, then they're not going to put it in writing. Will they still honor it? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, we just 7,000 years people put into Diablo 4. Mm-hmm. Now there's probably stuff already sealed for that thing to be released on PlayStation. That's fine. But Diablo 5 isn't. Whatever comes after Diablo, whatever comes after WoW, none of those are guaranteed. Whatever comes after the Call of Duty that's getting released this year at some point.
I mean, look, we just said it before. It's all about what? Two things, cost and profit.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is pure profit. And so they don't want to lose none of that. And it looks like they are, eventually. And Microsoft's got the right to. It's their property now.
They do, yeah.
When the thing goes through, it's our property now. We can do with it what we want.
I know.
And if we want to keep it from you, we can do that.
We can do it.
Because it's ours.
They can totally do it.
And they
totally will.
And like we said last week, they said, hey, you got the capability to make your own, so get cracking.
Yep. I totally get it. So yeah, Starfield, I think that's another one. No, that's Bethesda. That's not Blizzard. That's Bethesda. But I know I think in the long term, obviously, you're going to see that completely not backfire, but you're going to see once they own it and everything else, you'll probably see a lot of stuff not make it over to Sony's consoles.
Right.
Seeing the numbers for this Diablo thing, Microsoft's got to look at that, just salivating for this deal to get done. Which I think you looked it up. I think it's coming this month, right? At some point this month is when the deal's supposed to go into effect, or when the deadline for them to.
When the deadline ended.
Yeah. So
25th.
It's coming. Yeah, it's by the end of this month.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
Sony can say everything that they're going to say, but it's not going to affect any change because it's over with after the end of this month. Mm-hmm. So, by whenever Microsoft does their presentation for what was E3, mm-hmm. they'll likely have a graphic up or whatever they say where it's like, and we'd like to welcome some new studios this year. Activision Blizzard will be up there, because it's going to go through. It really is. And they're going to talk about it too. I imagine they would. Hey, Call of Duty this year on Xbox and on Game Pass, and also it will be available to Sony. But that's the other thing. Mm-hmm. If you start putting Call of Duty on Game Pass, where it's free as long as you're a paid subscriber, mm-hmm. that's going to entice people to move over. Even if you're putting it out there on Sony's system, that'll still be you're telling me if I just sign up for your service over here on Xbox, I can play Call of Duty for as long as I want to? Yep. It's yours.
As far as I know, Sony still hasn't come up with a legit competitor for that.
No, I don't see that they will.
Yeah.
I also don't see that they need to. I don't think they have to. God, there was something I meant to save because I saw it. It talked about the companies that were. We don't have a lot of time. How many games were released by the big three, mm-hmm. or whatever it was, and the winner was Sony. Sony had the most releases of 2022, mm-hmm. exclusively to them. Yeah,
exclusives. Yeah,
I think Nintendo was number 2. Microsoft wasn't even on the list. Mm-hmm. They had no releases,
right,
last year. From what I remember in that article that I really should have written down. We got to go. Time's up, folks. Thank you so much for watching the show and joining in and listening. We're going to stream the raid tonight, so hang around for about an hour or so, and 8 o'clock I think is when we're going to kick it off. So, music here from a game called Bone Razor. Bone Razor Minions is what it's called. It's the main theme for this. You guys have a fantastic weekend and enjoy your week. We will see you next Saturday, and RJ, I'll see you then.
Mm-hmm.